Why has Assetto Corsa Competizione been taken over by Le Mans Ultimate? It is a simple question that can be answered in a simple way. Kunos really stopped supporting Assetto Corsa Competizione, but I think there's more to it. After spending a significant amount of time with both titles since their very start, I've seen some changes. Competizione was my main title for years. I've tried to balance it out with iRacing, but it was really only Le Mans Ultimate that had everything to make me jump ship permanently to it. It's not about the best or worst sims. I don't really dabble with that. That will be for the comment section, because most modern sims are decent, and that's my opinion. So it's really the features that will bring me to a sim. Le Mans Ultimate had those things, even if there are a few points in Assetto Corsa Competizione that I miss. Like I'm going to miss if you are not going to press like and subscribe. And anyways, if you want telemetry and setups for Le Mans Ultimate, Assetto Corsa Competizione, or iRacing and more, have a look at channel sponsor Coach Dave Delta. I have around 400 starts at low fuel motorsports alone for Assetto Corsa Competizione and 230 starts in Le Mans Ultimate. I think I have a good idea where both sims stands at the moment. It's not to say that Competizione is dead. It's currently sitting in a managed decline state, in sort of a limbo, depending on what is going to happen with Evo. It still draws a significant pool of daily drivers, around 3,000 to 5,000 daily. The player base plays consistently and loves the title. It's a great GT racer, and I loved every bit I drove in it. Le Mans Ultimate is in the opposite trajectory. Very rough start, then again, so did ACC. But consistently brings new drivers, either that be by word of mouth, social media views, streams and videos, maybe a relatively low price of entry to the title and its DLCs, or simply because it's a title that, much like ACC, covers very popular racing series happening at the moment. The different trajectories are very related to the decisions of both developers. ACC had Kunos deciding to stop the support and development of it exactly after their most popular DLC, in this case the Nordschleife 24 Hours. The Assetto Corsa Evo situation doesn't help at all. Will SRO be a model of Evo? Will it replace low fuel motorsports going forward with its ACC support? Who knows? Le Mans Ultimate, on the other hand, has just finished the LMS DLC. It's bringing more features with career mode or even Daytona being teased, which could mean a few things. Maybe a NIMSA deal, maybe they're getting access to old Le Mans series licenses, or maybe even single deals that they can pull out. Sometimes maybe we can have something else. Who knows as well. And some of you may say that the current state of Competizione is based on Kunos just bailing out, and that would be correct, but in my opinion only partially so. Because if you go back to 2024, just mere months after Nordschleife released, the word wasn't exactly like that. The criticisms were already very much ingrained coming from the esports and competitive community. What's important is that these issues happening in ACC didn't come from nowhere. They came from supposed improvements, updates aimed at making the cars more stable and more forgiving, and ended up opening small windows in the physics. And in a competitive environment that ACC had a lot, those windows get pushed as far as they can go. So you ended up with a split in the community. For most drivers, 99% of them, Competizione felt natural and grounded. For top drivers, it felt inconsistent or even broken in edge cases. Force feedback will add another layer to this because ACC focused strictly mostly on steering rack forces, which is technically correct, but in a sim you are missing all the other sensations of driving. That can make the feedback feel muted or weighty or just obnoxious, especially when you're trying to read the car at the limit or get finer details of what the tire is doing. On the top of that, frequent physics changes over time without warning. After all, the user base got accustomed to it after months of being accustomed to it, have made the behaviors of the cars feel like a moving target, especially for competitive drivers and for those who actually have some sort of parasocial activity in sim racing. So the core issue isn't that ACC lacks realism or some sort of realism type of argument. it was that the realism didn't always hold up together under pressure. These points are important, but then there's another layer on top of this, which was, for me, a detached developer feedback system with some weird communication at times, and you can see that with Assetto Corsa Evo at the moment as well. And you also required third-party features to run competitions, and no matter how good the sim is, and Competizione is a good sim, I really don't care what you think, small frustrations will snowball into big ones after time. That means, once something similar in most places, while different where it matters, comes out, it's just a natural thing to happen that players will jump the fence. I think that Kuno's removing support from ACC only really accelerated the rise of Le Mans Ultimate, if Le Mans Ultimate continued with the trend that it has now. For the average Joe, you and me, the esports meta, or how broken supposedly the driving is or it was, isn't really that much important. Most drivers, myself included, won't really drive that 1%, so it's unlikely that they would ever try to get advantage of 0TC racing. I tried, I can't control the car like that, but plenty of people can, and those will complain that the cars were broken. For most drivers, for the average Joe, what matters is how hard it is to drive, or how related to the thing it is to drive. What's the content like? How much does it cost to enter? How easy it is to get a race, and how are the races? From a bird's eye view, Le Mans Ultimate is very similar to ACC. It is similarly priced, it drives rather nice, content is great and detailed, and the races are generally pretty dope. As the bird's eye view becomes more like Google Street level view, the differences are there. Some are more subtle, but others are more intense. The driving is rewarding. There is meta like there is always in every sim, but it's more related to which cars to choose for a specific track. But for me at least, there's more feel in the driving, much due to force feedback bringing more details into the wheel. More importantly though, it's easy to get a race, very easy really. I play at around 10 o'clock UK time, and I get the choice of multiple races during the day and no problem whatsoever getting for bronze races. I don't need a third-party app, I don't even need to load an external user interface like it happens with iRacing. Everything is contained within the same program. The netcode is great, so that means you don't touch just the car and the cars go flying, something that happened in ACC. It doesn't have many issues with side-to-side contact. You can really rub the cars, and cars be rubbed and bonked a lot in this title. All of those things, while minor at a glance, together I think they make a huge deal. So Kuno's leaving ACC behind was important, but all of these small things together make a bigger difference for me. Both of these titles are GT3 racers, of course. WEC Le Mans Ultimate will have also the prototypes, and ACC will have other classes as well. But where it matters the most, at least where these two coincide in terms of content, it is with the GT3 license. They are different even though they are GT3s. ACC has SRO spec, and Le Mans Ultimate it uses the WEC LM GT3. ACC feels weighted, sometimes boat-like, but Le Mans has this car feel like they like a good push. The force feedback helps with that as well. And there's something to be said about physics differences, but I think most importantly is that the physics feedback loop has been far superior in Le Mans Ultimate than what it was with Competizione. What I mean by this is if you compare certain physics issues in ACC, for example, adding the TC0 meta, or the chassis stiffness, or the suspension physics that you would hit the curb and the car go flying, that never went to a place where it was fixed or tried to be fixed since basically launch. While in Le Mans Ultimate, it had issues, very grave issues in racing and in driving in GT3s or hypercars that were fixed within major releases and sometimes within the releases. You can really see the difference in focus, you can see the difference in philosophy, and definitely in priorities of development. It's not just the things that will make them money, it's the things that actually keep the user base around. Between developers, I can see more eagerness with the Le Mans Ultimate developers to fix driving issues, at a heightened speed. Generally, I prefer where Le Mans Ultimate is at the moment, but it's not to say that ACC doesn't have features or physics that I wouldn't love to see in Le Mans Ultimate or in other sim, because it does. And one of them might be something strange to say, it will be the tires, because the tires in that title always felt alive. It's not how they drive, but what you did with them. I've always loved how the tires evolved during the race and how conscious I had to be with them. And it's not just a case of grip level, it's the managing of the tires proper. Some called ACC in the past, and I can see where they're coming from, a tire pressure simulator, but for me it made some sense, because running the same tire pressure, if the track was 15 degrees Celsius or 50 degrees Celsius, it never made any sense to me. ACC probably was too sensitive with this, but it made sense. There were other aspects of the tires as well. For example, the tires could be grained if you push them from cold coming out of the pits. So even taking care of them out of the pits or in the first lap, it made a lot of sense. The tires would pick up debris. They got marbled. The wet tires had to be managed if the mixed conditions were starting to appear with a heavy dry line, and sometimes in a very harsh way. And this is the part of the simulation that I miss the most from ACC, even if that borders somewhat masochism. And to be totally honest, what Kunos did with Unreal Engine 4 is excellent. It runs great generally, it runs tremendously well with the AMD X3D hardware, and it has some really decent color grading. I also love the audio, and I think it hasn't been bitten since. It is bittersweet really, because Competizione always felt like a missed opportunity to me, with a lack of commitment to game mechanics that could be made into a more long-term appeal title. There was no career mode, no SRO integration with in-game competitive play, because everything was third-party, and what was made in-house always felt lacking. Le Mans Ultimate comes from a difficult place, and it comes from a disastrous virtual Le Mans, and this was on R Factor 2, where Max Verstappen, then the Formula World champion, calls it a clown show. It goes into a mess of a launch with Le Mans Ultimate a year or two later, and now it's in a very good place where it cemented itself into basically the definitive multi-class racing, at least for day-to-day driving, because the special events, I think that's still with iRacing, but for how long, I don't know. That's not to say that Le Mans Ultimate doesn't have a few issues to resolve. It does. The aging R Factor 2 engine needs a massive revamp in my opinion. It's still very slow to load, even though they just released an update that cut around 50% of the load times. It could be very much better performing in graphics. It's, I think, for the graphics as old as this title is, running at how it isn't really the best. But what it needs the most for me is really not exclusive of them, because iRacing has the same issue. It's to find a way to tame the hyper and prototype drivers, because they can be a handful, to say the least. In my opinion, there needs to be some sort of cap, an extra requirement to drive online with these cars. And some compare the hypercar drivers and prototype drivers to a certain type of domesticated equine friend. The lack of career modes still hurts them, it's coming, and so does the lack of special events at 24-hour races. In that case specifically, iRacing still wins, and by a large degree. Even so, I'd say Assetto Corsa Competizione needs to be celebrated for what it brought into sim racing, because we get a sim focused in a series with pure GT3 driving at the center, and Le Mans Ultimate is doing great right now with that formula, so it's hard not to mention it to those who want to dabble with multi-class driving. I wonder what it will be the future of Assetto Corsa Evo and Le Mans Ultimate, and I hope it's bright for both.